Audio Jungle.
Welcome to today's video lecture on History of Microbiology. History of Microbiology. So microbiology, as the name tells, is nothing but the study of microorganisms. So micro here stands for something which is small or tiny, and biology is a study of life. So putting it together, I can tell it is the study of organisms which is very small or tiny, which we cannot see through our naked eye, and we require a special instrument which is called as microscope. So in our last video lecture we studied in detail about what is microbiology and the different groups of microorganism, and now in this video lecture we'll study on history of microbiology. So let's get started. The field of microbiology is an ancient branch that has blossomed because of the contributions of several scientists who dedicated their time in studying the diversity of microorganisms. So let us look at them briefly. So yes, the field of microbiology is an ancient branch. It's there from very olden times. So but it came into existence and people became aware of microorganisms only because of the contributions of several scientists. There are many scientists who have worked hard for the field of microbiology, and it's because of them we have a separate branch today. And today we are aware that there are several diseases which are caused by microorganisms. We know the method to control them, cure them, prevent them. So all this is because of the hard work which is done by those scientists. So let us study them one by one. So here mainly in this video lecture we'll study on the scientist called Antony Van Leeuwenhoek. Antony Van Leeuwenhoek, his period was from 1632 to 1723. So yes, this was the period when people didn't know much about microorganisms, and they didn't even have imagination that there could be a world beyond their naked eye. So it was that time when Leeuwenhoek was born. So Antony Van Leeuwenhoek is known as father of microbiology. So yes, he is known as father of microbiology till date. So because of the discoveries and contributions which he has made. Okay. And then where was he from? He was born in Delft, Dutch Republic on 24th October 1632. So yes, he was born in Delft on 24th October 1632. So and coming to his educational background, Antony van Leeuwenhoek was an unlikely scientist, received no higher education or university degrees, and knew no languages other than his native Dutch. So with his skill, endless curiosity, and an open mind free of the scientific dogma of this day, Leeuwenhoek succeeded in making some of the most important discoveries in the history of biology. So yes, Antony van Leeuwenhoek had a very basic education. Okay, he didn't receive any higher education, he didn't have any university degrees, and moreover he didn't know anything about scientific research. Okay, and he knew only his native Dutch, and apart from that he didn't know any other languages to be spoken as well. Okay, and you would be wondering what made him father of microbiology, right? So though he was not from scientific background, he had endless curiosity in him. Okay, he wanted to know about things, he was very curious about it, and he had a very good skill of grinding lenses, and he made them maximum use, and more than everything he had a open mind, so which was similar to the scientific world. So all these characters made him the father of microbiology. Okay, now Antony van Leeuwenhoek was a Dutch cloth merchant by trade. He was assessing the quality of the thread by using magnifying lenses. Yes, so he was a cloth merchant, and so he used to use the magnifying lenses to check the quality of the thread. Because he wanted the best quality, he used to check them through his magnifying lenses. Okay, so and out of curiosity he started observing many things under his magnifying lenses, and that's when he started finding and discovering the creatures which is beyond our naked eye. Okay, then with the passage of time, he got keenly interested in glass processing and lens grinding. He was also inspired by Robert Hooke's microscopic observations in this book, Micrographia. So, yes, so as and so he started discovering the microorganisms. He became more and more curious, and he also became interested in glass processing and lens grinding. So, and he starts making a number of lenses. Okay, and that's when he gets inspired by the Robert Hooke's Micrographia. So yes, Robert Hooke was a scientist who discovered cell. Okay, and he was a person who was working with a microscope. So he had written a book which is called as Micrographia, so in which he had given about all his observations and findings. Okay, so by looking at that book and seeing the pictures of it, so Antony Van Leeuwenhoek will get inspired by Robert Hooke. Okay, and then he built a simple microscope during 1671 and started observing different substances. So yes, so this was the microscope built by Antony Van Leeuwenhoek. As you can see in the picture, so there is a lens over here, and he observed various samples using this simple microscope. Okay, then he experimented to calculate the number of organisms in water and examined other objects like skin, hair and blood. So he started observing various samples under his microscope. Okay, he started observing samples like water, hair, skin, blood and scrapings from his own mouth also. Okay, and so this made him more and more curious, and he started observing everything through his microscope. And then Leeuwenhoek is known to have made over 500 microscopes, of which fewer than 10 microscopes survive to present day. Yes, so throughout his lifetime it's known that he's made around 500 microscopes. Okay, and then among that, so less than 10 is present till date. Okay, and then his microscopes magnified over 200 times with clearer and brighter images. So yes, so his microscopes had capacity to magnify 200 times. Okay, so 200 times, and that too a clearer and brighter images. Fine. So, yes. He discovered bacteria, protists, sperm cells, blood cells, microscopic nematodes, rotifers and much more. So yes, he discovered bacteria. So I think he was a person who gave accurate descriptions of bacteria. He discovered protists, that is nothing but protozoans. And yes, he was a person who discovered sperm cells, which is responsible for fertilization, and blood cells like white blood cells and red blood cells. Microscopic nematodes. Nematodes are nothing but roundworms. Rotifers. Rotifers are small animals which we can find it in fresh water, and much more. So not only this, he had discovered a lot by then. And in 1673, Leeuwenhoek began writing letters to the newly formed Royal Society of London describing what he had seen with his microscopes. Okay, so yes, Royal Society of London was actually a academy of science. So he started describing everything what he had seen through his microscope, and he started writing them to this Royal Society of London. So he made accurate descriptions and he wrote them and sent it to Royal Society of London. Okay, so and in this picture you can find the observations made by Antony Van Leeuwenhoek. So that is white blood cells, red blood cells, yeast cells, sperm cells, bacterial cells. Okay, then in 1674 he described them as very little animalcules, which we know them protozoan. Yes, in 1674, so he'll give them a name which is called as very little animalcules. So because they had life in it and they were very tiny, and that's the reason he'll give them a name called as little animalcules. Okay, then he first described bacteria on 9th October 1676 to Oldenburg, Secretary of Royal Society. Okay, Henry Oldenburg. So yes, he describes bacteria on 9th October 1676 to Henry Oldenburg. So he was the first person who described them accurately, who described the bacteria accurately. Okay, then. So he was elected as a member of Royal Society in 1680 and continued his association for the rest of his life by correspondence. So yes, so because of all the discoveries and contributions made by him, so he was elected as a member of Royal Society in 1680. Okay, and then in 1683 he described three shapes of bacteria that are rod, spherical and spiral. So yes, so in 1683 he also gives the different shapes of bacteria like rod shape, spherical shape and spiral shape. So I think we know that we call them as bacilli, cocci and spirilla today. Okay, then in 1716 Leeuwenhoek receives medal from the University of Belgium and is honored for his genius in his own time. So yes, so I think because of all the discoveries, contributions and the endless curiosity which he had, okay, so he receives a medal from the University of Belgium. Okay, so he's an example for the person who had no educational background, who didn't have any university degree. So but then too he was awarded a medal, and today he's called as father of microbiology. And with all his contributions, so he died on 30th October 1723.